This quick video will show you how to add notes to the different prioritization layers on the web maps, making it hopefully easier for you to document any changes that you'd like to see the RTT review or update for the different layers. So you'll receive the links via email, and you can come into here and this is what you should see. This first one is the Lower Snake River priority reaches. So these are the ones that would go into the lead entity grant round for scoring. So right now what's shown in the background are the spawning areas. The minor spawning areas are kind of a light green. The major spawning areas are dark green. And then the actual lines of the stream network are the pink, orange, and yellow. The pink are priority migration reaches. The orange are restoration reaches, and the yellow are the protection reaches. And over here on the left, this will be the same for each map. There'll be the layers that you can see that are currently included in this map. And the little eyeball with the line striked through it means that it's not visible. So if you click that, the eyeball goes away, but that means it's now visible. So I just turned on the state routes layer. In case you want to use this to help you get oriented, you can turn on major highways. Other ones on here is like the flow lines, so that if you do want to make a note or consider adding some new reach that isn't currently in the layer, then this wouldn't be an edit, but you can edit a nearby line to at least make a note and say, I want to add Whetstone Creek, for example, which flows in right here. The water body is merely just more for aesthetic. That's going to be the big open water areas, large rivers, reservoirs, lakes, ponds, things like that, but that highlights the Snake River up there. Swifty is available as well. I think this layer is only actually the steelhead distribution, but it's generally the largest of the different species that we have in the region, so that'll give you a more simplified version of the flow network if you want to see where fish are to help you consider whether or not to add a reach. And then the other ones that are turned off are just by species. So we have fall chinook, spring chinook, and steelhead. So if you want to look at a specific species, I would recommend turning off both the spawning area layers and the reach layers for that species and turn on then the appropriate one, because that, as you saw, removed all of the layers for the steelhead and added the chinook by just turning those on and off. So that'll keep things a little cleaner and clearer and makes it sure that you only edit the species that you're trying to look at. The additional layers here, there's the Wyras, in case you're interested to see where that falls out, and then the entire snake region, which is just one big polygon back there. And then there's also the state lines as well, just in the background, if needed. So to edit one of these, you simply zoom in wherever you can see one and click on the line. It'll bring up this info box, and if you hit edit here, then that'll bring you to it. And the way this is set up is it'll show the information that's available in the table for that layer, which for these is pretty minimal, just length, the type of reach, and the name of the creek. And here's the only editable field in this case. You can type in any notes you want here, like that. And you see it's a white box. These other ones are gray. Even though I can select this stuff, I can't actually edit it. So you just put any observations, any changes, any suggested talking points under this RTT notes field. That will retain itself within this specific line that I have selected. So that'll make it easier for us to show during the next meeting and discuss directly. So the other way you can get to the editor, if it's not open, you'll see over on the right there is this list of little tools and things over here. So if you directly click edit, that brings up the editor toolbar, and you'll see that all the layers are in here. The ones that are grayed out are the ones that are currently not shown visibly. But with this open now, I have a hand that allows me to pan under this edit features thing. A little point and clicker, I can click single features or a square select and a lasso select. If I just do the single point select, I can do the same thing with this edit bar open and click on the line. Because I'm in this area now, it's going to select everything underneath my click, underneath my cursor. So it did pull up the spawning area and the line. So if you only, we're not editing spawning areas right now, so you just click on the line. and that brings up that exact same form to only edit the RTT notes field. If you do edit something up here, you see this update button down on the bottom turned blue. That means you can update it, and that's what will save your note to the layer. To get out of this, if you hit update, please don't hit delete, by the way. I can't remove this button, but don't delete any lines. So if you do make an update and click the update button, it may bring you back to this screen. So just remember that if you're trying to update multiple lines, it defaults to this panoramic or pan setting. So that you might be thinking, I can't click on a line. That's because the hand is on. You just need to turn on one of these selector options. Okay, and then the other one we'd like you to look at is the fish barrier prioritization results. Same thing here where we have web map with only select layers here. In the background is the NHD layer, and this is a web service layer, so it's not as refined as the one that I was just showing where it's been edited. This is every single stream that's available in the NHD, so it can be a bit busy. Definitely helps to zoom in and see what's going on, but the annotations and the stream names and everything is really nice, so it's helpful to have that. The 3 barrier layers are all barrier prioritization results, so this is going to include the unknown passability, total fish passage barriers, partial passage barriers, and NADA barriers. So the grays, the greens, the yellows, and the reds. So that's all of them if you want to take a look at them, and eventually we will be talking about these unknowns to see if we need to reassess them and figure out if they're actual barriers or not. But for now, what we'd really like folks to focus on are remaining barriers, and in particular, the total barriers. So you can just turn on this layer and only look at those reds, because as of now, the database is suggesting that these are confirmed 100% impassable barriers. And we want to get confirmation on that. Maybe somebody has already visited them and has some updated info. Others may be in areas that we really don't need to consider as a high priority because they're well beyond the fish distribution, or maybe are not as bad at affecting different fluvial processes, and so we can check those off the list and get them out of the prioritization. If you're feeling particularly gung-ho, you can turn on the remaining barriers, because that's going to include those 100% impassables and the partial barriers, those 16 to 66% or whatever they go up to. So that's going to bring up a lot more to look at, but once we get through these total barriers, we will be moving on to remaining before we go on to all. So if we can work through that progression, focusing on the most important ones first, then getting to the ones that are going to be a bit more work and a little more convoluted, and then the ones that are completely unknown. Same thing, same process for editing the layers as with the priority reaches. I'm going to turn on total barriers only, and so if I just go into one of these and click on it, let me get out of edit feature there. If I click on it, it'll bring up the attribute table having all of the information from the prioritization results. So if you are really interested, you can see how everything individually scored, and then you can see the total final score by species. A couple other relevant information that went into the barrier prioritization model. Really quite a bit of information. The things at the top are going to be probably the most relevant, like stream name, which tributary it flows into, maybe if it's a culvert or a bridge or something like that, or ford, it may have the road name if the name is road, if the road is named. Barrier type, barrier category, so lots of good information up at the top. But just like before, if you have gone through getting this information by clicking without the edit form open, you can click edit here, and that'll bring up the edit form. And same as before, you can see the information here. I did not add everything to the form in this case because it's just too much to look at. If you want the additional information, you can just pull up the attribute table by clicking on it again. But for now, it's the same thing with, in this case, 3 different fields that you can edit. If you are suggesting to update the barrier status, then you can change that here. If you have an estimate of the passability percent, you can add that here. And then otherwise, if you're just not sure and you want to make sure that we focus on this one during the discussion, or have any other insights into the current status of this barrier, but don't know exactly what it is or the exact passability, you can use just the RTT notes field. So same as before, you put in some text here and you can click update and that will save that information directly to that barrier. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can of course reach out to myself or SRSRB staff and get some help for you. Thanks.